Hello everyone and welcome to Movie Review UK. My name is MJ and today I'm going to be reviewing Ghostbusters brackets 2016. This is the rebooted Ghostbusters, and first of all I have to say that I hate the name. Well, I love the name, but it's the name of another film. I hate when anything does this, i.e. Tomb Raider. In my opinion, Tomb Raider, the original, is one of my least favourite games of all time. And Tomb Raider, the remake, is one of my favourite games of all time. And I have to call them the same thing. But enough negativity because I want to get something out the doors immediately. I really enjoyed Ghostbusters, the new one. I enjoyed it a lot. So, this movie feels very much like a full-blown origin story. This is a reboot. It is not a sequel or anything like that. It's not like a secret sequel. Secret sequel? We pretty much join the characters at the start of their journey. There's a little bit of backstory to them and explanations for some of the relationships, but a lot of it is, pretty simple, and you come about it in the course of the film. Some of it is a little bit contrived, but for the most part it is not too bad, and it irritated me very little. The nods to the original film, or films, were plentiful. There is a lot of cameos in this film, like a lot of cameos, and some of them more meaningful than others, but actually I wasn't sure about the cameos about midway through, but there's one towards the end that I was like, okay, that's brilliant. And actually I was getting annoyed that a particular cameo hadn't popped up, and then that particular cameo popped up, and yeah, best cameo it turned out to be. So yeah, the nods to the original film, pretty cool. And there were just things used like the icon of the film and just the general overall mythology of Ghostbusters that is weaved into this new film in a very good way, and in a way that does not feel cheap. I really liked it, and in fact, if you've seen the trailer, I think you may know this, but the Ghostbusters logo plays a part in the plot of the film to a certain extent, and it's really, really clever. And I actually really liked it. And also on that point, I think that the majority of the character design and the ghost design is incredibly strong. When I saw the trailer, I was a little bit worried that the designs lacked a little bit of charm that the originals had. And I think with the fact that they are, I assume, fully CG, as opposed to the old-fashioned effects that were in the original ones, I think that something was a little bit lost. That was my opinion from watching the trailer. However, whilst it is still partially true, a lot of the generic ghost designs aren't particularly interesting. I think that they are quite scary, some of them, but that there are enough fairly unique ones to counterbalance it. So, large majority of the ghosts are pretty generic, but there are a good handful of specific ones that do work very well. A lot of them are shown in the trailer, but it doesn't change the fact that they are good designs. The cast themselves, actually really liked all of them. In the trailer, again, there was a lot of preconceptions. I think that Patty, who I think is Leslie Jones, she came across as quite irritating in the trailer. And whilst there is one moment that didn't really gel with me all too much, for the most part, she's actually really good. She's probably a little bit more down to earth than she appears in the trailer. Kristen or Kirsten Wiig, I'm not sure which one it is. Kristen or Kirsten, can never remember. She was really good. I really liked her. The film starts with her, and a lot of the key moments involve her, and she was just good. She was as she normally is, to be honest. Melissa McCarthy, again, quite toned in, I think. Reined in, toned down. She usually plays some bombastic, over-the-top character, and there were individual moments in this film where in fact there was another moment which I'll talk about in a minute, but there are individual moments where you're like, oh, this is a bit where Melissa McCarthy's going to react in this way, and she doesn't, and she plays it straight, and I was like, oh, okay. And finally, I believe her name is Katie McKinnon, who plays Holtzman, I think, or Gillian. She was my favourite character. Favourite character, and I can't remember her name, but no, they say it quite quickly, so I think it's Holtzman. Yeah, loved her. She was a bit odd, a bit eccentric, but she was also like she was basically the Donatello of this film. Kind of the Egon proxy, but to be honest, I think a good thing about them actually is the Ghostbusters weren't just equivalents of the male counterparts. I think they all had their own characters and they weren't just regurgitating old material. And yeah, Katie McKinnon's character, loved her. Yeah, just funny and cool, and I love gadgets. I usually love like gadget scientist characters in like kind of kids aimed shows and whatnot. Like I liked Izzy in Digimon and all that kind of thing. The people with the plans, and in Ghostbusters, she is my favourite combination of that because she makes gadgets for them, and gadgets are cool. There was one moment, which is the moment I just referenced, where I got more humour out of the film than was probably intended, because there was a scene playing out and I started laughing because of the punchline that I thought they were building to, and I was like, oh, that's brilliant actually. And like the music was gearing up. I thought the music was gearing up to the do 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 do, and then the comedic music stops, and then it swerves in the direction that you're not expecting, which was the direction that I was expecting. However, that didn't happen, and then I almost felt a little bit silly that I was laughing for no reason. I'll put it at the end, a little spoiler of what that was exactly, so that yeah, if you've seen it you can know. The action is pretty decent. I like the special effects as well. They put a fair amount of action. The one thing that I probably didn't like about the direction and acting was there was a scene towards the end of the film where they are having a reasonable sized battle, and it looked a little bit green screeny. They were kind of staying in the same position, and it looked a little bit dodgy. But it's quite a small criticism when the overall film I enjoyed quite a fair bit, and I think that the larger action pieces were pretty cool. Including I guess the main bad guy, which I thought was A, incredibly great design, quite scary, and B, huge in scale, which is really cool. Another thing is the end credits were brilliant. There was about 5 or 6 kind of, they weren't really mid-credits scene, but it's just kind of the epilogue of the film that were cut into little bits, which I thought were really good. I really liked all of them individually. The actual end credits themselves had like moments from the film, so it wasn't just a boring black screen, which is brilliant, and more films should do that. And then it had an after credit scene as well, which was quite a cool potential hint at a next film. And the final thing that I liked about it, I will maybe say after the score because it is a bit of a spoiler. But score wise, I was leaning towards a 7 towards the end, but you know, the end credits rolled and the after credit scene happened, which is a fairly good after credit scene, not mind blowing but fairly good. And just as my friend Jason said, they had so much to live up to, and of course Ghostbusters the original is one of my favourite films of all time. This is certainly nowhere near that, but for all the criticism that they've received online, and you know, I was directing some of it, I just didn't think that the humour was working in the trailer. I really enjoyed it, and I think they did a really good job, and I think it was a wisest decision. Probably one of the key reasons why the film works as opposed to not working is having those characters be different. They are all good characters, they are not annoying, they are funny enough, it is consistently quite an amusing movie. I haven't even talked about Chris Hemsworth, who was brilliant in it. He was really funny. And yeah, just like over the toply stupid, but it really worked, and Chris Hemsworth did a comedic role really well. I'm going to give it a low 8 out of 10. So, that little spoiler scene, tiny little spoiler thing, is that in the end of the film, the Ghostbusters are basically told that they will team up with the government, so they'll get government funding and whatever they want, and then a few more things happen. That's really exciting. And if this film doesn't get a sequel, it's going to be really disappointing, because, as I said earlier, this film very much feels like an origin film. Really sets up everything, and it gets them into a really great position, and what we see at the end of the film in the ending credits is more teasing of the future, more gadgets, and you know, they could have refined suits, refined car, refined everything, their headquarters. So and then that coupled with the last scene, the end credit scene, the post credit scene, this is all really exciting stuff. And I really do hope that the film does well enough for them to do a sequel and get cracking on it, you know, as soon as possible, because it is a great pleasure to be back in the Ghostbusters universe, and it's really cool to see it in a modern technological environment. So we've got, you know, better graphics, better CG, and actually one more thing, I love the design of the gadgets, like the way that the proton pack kind of whirls with a red light. really did enjoy it a surprising amount. So thank you very much for watching, everyone. Let me know what you thought of Ghostbusters in the comments below, and subscribe for more reviews. If you've seen it, you can know. So it's the bit when Erin is marking the X's on the map and it all aligns. I thought she was marking them, you know, making us think that she's found a pattern, and then she was just going to go, oh, they're just randomly marked. So I started laughing, and then it did actually make a pattern. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I didn't realise, because it looked like they were random to me. But yeah, Kristen or Kirsten Wiig, I can never remember what it is. Kirsten. She was really good. Again, she was kind of one of the main characters, and just that was a stupid thing to say. Put that in at the end.